He made the winning shot that lit up the stadium, but behind the cheers was a secret nobody knew. Every game pushed him closer to the edge. Coaches praised him, fans worshipped him, but he was breaking, silently, every single night. What caused the sudden collapse of the star everyone believed could never fall? Before we dive deep into the story, subscribe to the channel so you never miss powerful and thought-provoking stories. Let's go in deep. He was the player everyone wanted on their team. Fast on his feet, sharp in his vision, and deadly from the three-point line, he made the court feel like home. Reporters called him a natural. Fans screamed his name. Every time he nailed a buzzer beater, coaches built plays around him. Even his teammates leaned on his confidence. His name echoed through the stadiums. He had that kind of presence, the kind that made people believe the game would shift the moment. The ball touched his hands, but no one asked how heavy that ball really felt. No one saw the hours after midnight, and the lights were out, and he stared at the ceiling, heart-pounding, thinking of every missed shot. No one saw the quiet rides home where the cheers faded and self-doubt screamed louder. He was more than just a jersey number. He was someone carrying a storm inside one that nobody noticed yet, and the world was about to see just how far that storm could go. Being a shooting guard is not just about scoring. It's about saving the game when everyone else is falling apart. It's about running non-stop, reading the defense, creating plays from chaos, and still being expected to sink the final shot without blinking. He knew this all too well. Every time he stepped onto the court, the pressure wrapped around his chest like armor made of expectations. Fans expected fire. Coaches demanded precision. Teammates needed a hero. He was not just playing basketball, he was performing under a microscope. One bad pass? Critics pounced. One missed shot? Headlines the next day. He smiled in interviews, nodded during post-game talks, and slapped hands with fans. But inside, he was crumbling. Because being great is not always enough. You have to be perfect. Every single time. Even when his knees ached. Even when his mind wasn't in the game. Even when life off the court felt like it was falling apart, the world only saw his jump shot, and the weight of being everyone's hope was starting to crush him. It happened on a night that should have been unforgettable, packed arena. Lights blazing, fans roaring his name. They were up by one. Final quarter. 10 seconds left on the clock. The ball was in his hands. He had done this 100 times before. A fake left, a quick spin, the perfect elevation. It was supposed to be just another shot. Just another clutch moment. But in the air, something shifted. His ankle rolled. Pain exploded through his leg. The shot clanked off the rim, and just like that, he collapsed. The crowd went silent. Cameras zoomed in. Trainers rushed the court. But he was not thinking about the injury. He was thinking about how he had just let everyone down. That night was not just a sprain. It was the moment the world saw him as human, vulnerable, breakable. The headlines the next morning were merciless. Superstar chokes under pressure. All that hype. One weak ankle. No one talked about the pain. No one asked how he felt. The only thing that mattered was the scoreboard. He watched the replay over and over. He was punishing himself with every slow-motion angle. That fall was not just physical. It cracked something deeper inside, the belief that he was untouchable. And once that belief is gone, everything starts to spiral. After the fall, the noise faded. The fans, the interviews, the lights, all went silent. He was still on the team, still getting paid, but something was gone. Something he could not name, but he felt it in every look from teammates, every quiet hallway, every cheer that was just a little less loud. People stopped calling. The coach, once always in his corner, now spoke in short, polite sentences. The medical staff did their job, but not one of them asked how he was really doing. Not one person said, "Are you okay?" He began to show up early just to avoid the team. He stayed late just to avoid the world. There were no more press conferences. No more reporters hanging on every word. He became invisible, not officially, but emotionally. Like a shadow in the locker room, Every laugh that echoed in the hall sounded like it was about someone else. Every whispered conversation made him question if they were talking about him. Worst of all, he believed they had every right to, because he had failed. That isolation was not physical. It was mental, deep. It wrapped around him like a cold fog. Numbing his drive, dulling his hunger, he tried to watch old clips of himself, fast, fluid, fearless. But now it felt like watching a stranger. That wasn't him anymore, at least. That's what he started to believe. And when an athlete stops believing in himself, the real injury begins. It wasn't fought on the court. It wasn't in front of thousands of fans or with cameras watching his every move. This battle was silent, fought in his head. Every single day he woke up early, not because he wanted to train, but because he couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, thoughts racing like defenders swarming his every move. The voice in his head repeated the same question, "Are you still good enough?" He wanted to scream yes, but what came out was silence. No one saw the anxiety he carried to every practice, the fear that his next play might be his last, the doubt that maybe he had already peaked, that maybe, just maybe, this was as far as he'd go. The media had moved on. The fans barely noticed, but he noticed. Every missed shot stung deeper. Every time he sat on the bench, it echoed louder. The player who once attacked the rim with fire now second-guessed the simple act of passing. He smiled in public. He said all the right things in interviews. But when the doors closed, he broke. And still, every day, he got up, tied his shoes, showed up, not for the glory, but for a flicker of hope. The quiet battle was brutal, but it was also the beginning of something he didn't yet realize. A rebirth no one announces when the comeback starts. There's no dramatic music. There's no flashing lights. Just a quiet decision in the dark. I'm not done yet. That moment came to him alone in the gym, long after everyone else had left. His fingers gripped the ball not with pressure, but with purpose. He wasn't trying to prove them wrong anymore. Now, he was trying to find himself again. One free throw, then another. It started slow. Confidence doesn't return in bursts. It creeps in, shot by shot, breath by breath. He worked in silence. Every morning he showed up before dawn. Every night he left after dark. Trainers noticed. Coaches noticed. He wasn't doing it for them. This was personal. He began watching old tapes, not to criticize, but to remember. That guy in the video, that was me. That still is me. His body. Hurt, the aches from old injuries screamed louder than the crowd ever did. But pain was no longer an excuse, it was fuel. And then something shifted. One day in practice, a simple play, catch, step back, swish. Someone clapped. He didn't smile. But something inside him flickered. He wasn't back yet. Not completely. But the climb had begun. And for the first time in a long time, he believed the top was still within reach. The arena lights never felt brighter. Not because of the spotlight, but because this time it was ready. It wasn't the championship. It wasn't a headline game. It was just a game. But for him it meant everything. He was in the zone. Every pass. Every cut, every move carried a deeper meaning. He wasn't just playing for points. He was playing for peace. In the final seconds, the ball came to him. A familiar hush fell over the court. He didn't hesitate. 3, 2. Rise. Release. Swish. The buzzer echoed like a heartbeat. His teammates roared. The crowd exploded. But in his chest, it was quiet, calm. He did it, not to prove anyone wrong. Not to reclaim fame. Just to show himself that he could rise after the fall. He walked off the court with a grin. Not the kind that's worn for cameras, but the kind that says, I'm free now. Everyone sees the highlight reels, the glory, the fame, but they never see the breakdowns, the pressure, the silence after failure. This is what it really feels like to be a shooting guard. It's lonely, it's brutal. But if you keep climbing, redemption is possible. If this story hit you deep, show some love. By hitting like, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this video with someone who needs it.